Greetings, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. 15 British sailors and Marines have arrived safely and sound in Great Britain, thereby ending a 2-week ordeal during which they were kidnapped and captured by Iranians, under the false pretense that they have been found in Iranian waters. Nevertheless, the ordeal has been extremely humiliating for Great Britain, for the United States of America, and pretty much for the rest of the world. And the international press is pretty much in agreement that the real victor of this ordeal was none other than Iran. It started with the British Marines and sailors admitting that they were found in Iranian waters, even though the British government had clearly stated that they were in Iraqian waters. Now, we knew right from the start that those admissions were coerced by torture, psychological torture or other torture, and we also understand that admissions made under torture have no value whatsoever. This is true, for instance, when so many people died at the stake during the terrible and abominable time of the Inquisition, when they admitted that they had contact with Satan and that they were witches, because they admitted those things under torture. And so most of those people who were burned to death were never guilty of any of the things they admitted. Recently, the Wall Street Journal wrote an amazing article on March 31 talking about a state prosecutor who refused to prosecute the case for the government against a terrorist suspect who had been captured, because all the evidence he had was based on the admission of the captured suspect, and the prosecutor concluded, based on his own knowledge and observation, that those admissions were received under torture. And so he refused to prosecute the case based on legal grounds and also based on his own moral conscience. Now, if you haven't read that article in the Wall Street Journal dated March 31, you should read it. But nevertheless, to admit something, even under torture, and then later to retract it, is, of course, very embarrassing. And so the whole ideal and the whole ordeal was very embarrassing and very humiliating for Great Britain. And even the British press was very upset with Tony Blair, but in all fairness, the question must be raised, what else could Tony Blair have done? Because Britain was all alone. Nobody came to their rescue. The United States of America gave some lip services. The European Union gave some lip services. The Security Council gave some lip services, but that's all they ever did. And when it came to the European Union, they were not about to cancel any contracts with Iran, or at least suspend them, because their economic interest was more important to them than coming to the rescue of Great Britain. The real question, though, is, my friends, why should those things have happened? Der Spiegel Online wrote that an evil curse has been attached now to Great Britain and the United States of America because of the Iraq War. Now, let me just say, my friends, that the Iraq War is not the cause for the curse, even though I do believe there is a curse right now. The Iraq War and the debacle and the disaster of the Iraq War is just a consequence of that curse. Did you know that the Bible has prophesied thousands of years ago that these events, as we are observing them today, would happen? That Great Britain would be left alone more and more, as well as the United States, because of the fact that the peoples have turned their back on God. And the lesson of history is that if a nation does that, then God will take and turn his back on them, and they will no longer have prestige and superiority and prosperity in their nations. And that is why we are seeing those embarrassing and humiliating events taking place for Great Britain, and also when it comes to Iraq, for the United States. And we can expect that these things will go on and even get more and more drastic and severe unless we find a collective repentance of our peoples, something which is very unlikely but not impossible. You just need to know what is prophesied in the Bible. The fact that it says that the time will come when England and United States of America will buckle under pressure from second and third-rate countries like we have right now, Iran, and to an extent even Iraq and Saudi Arabia and some of those countries. Why should it be that way? Our three booklets, The Rise and the Fall, or rather the Fall and the Rise of Britain and America, and also Europe in Prophecy, will give you the answer. Yes, Britain and America will rise again to extreme prestige and prosperity and influence, but not before they will deeply fall. And the United States of Europe is destined to come together, but the Bible strongly indicates that it will happen without Great Britain. Thanks very much for listening, and until next time, this is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.